Hi everybody, Daniel here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Monogram DC-3 and 1/48 scale. This particular one with Eastern Airlines decals and markings. I haven't seen any, or I haven't seen very many pictures of this particular model, and no videos either of the Eastern Airlines one. So I thought I'd just record what I built, how I put it together, just to share with anybody else who may be interested. My dad used to work for Eastern Airlines back in the day, till it went out of business, I think around 1991, 92. He bought this model from a Hobby Lobby in Florida in 1992. He paid about $20 for it. But for the nostalgia, the sentimental value, and he wasn't really known for building models. He never bothered to try putting it together. So it was just kind of sitting in its original shrink wrapping in a closet. And see, it's November right now, so back in July, August, I had been building models for about a year at that point. I was feeling confident enough to give it a shot, because I thought it'd have a little more special value to actually have it built and on display instead of just sitting on a box. So here, let me move this and I'll show you what I got. Okay, so here's the finished product. I have a couple work in progress photos that I'll try and put into the video also. Boy, this thing was a trip to build, because you know, Eastern Airlines is out of business now, so, and at least on Amazon, models, this particular one, like with the Eastern Airlines decals, were really expensive, like over $100, which you know, is affordable, sort of, but at the same time I don't want to spend that much, you know, for like one part if I break it, or if I screwed up the painting or the stickers or something. So I had a lot of pressure to kind of get it right the first time. Building was fairly easy. The main fuselage was just two halves. Each wing was a top and a bottom half. The engine was there's this part right here, was one piece, and then the front cowling was another piece, and then the propellers and the engines were a couple extra pieces in there. For painting, I used a Tester's metalizing lacquer, the aluminum plate. I have this one here. See, this paint here is what I used. It was about, what was this? This was about $6. I got this one from Hobby Lobby. Just a little spray can. Took the parts outside, sprayed the whole thing. This was cool because when you spray it at first, it's got kind of a dull finish, but after you spray it, you let it sit for about an hour, and then you can take a soft cloth, or like I used tissues actually, and you just kind of buff it, you know, circular motions, and then it gives it a really nice metallic shine to it. Looks really close to real metal, which I think is pretty cool. So I did that. The tip of the nose here, let's see, it looks a little weird because of the stickers. I'll explain that in a second, but the nose cone was Testor's deep sea blue. According to the manual, it said to use like a FS 15070, which Testors said was the deep sea blue color, so I got that and I airbrushed a little bit of that on the nose. I had a flat black I airbrushed on the wingtips here. Something that gave me a lot of trouble, turns out, was the decals. Now these look pretty nice, but I have to tell you, I cheated. These are not the original decals, because what happened was, here's the sheet of the original water slide decals, or at least most of them anyway. Like I mentioned before, I am still fairly new at model building, so I'm still learning a lot of tricks and stuff as I go. Turns out, old water slide decals, I guess any old decals, like, so these were made in 1992, so about 20 years old now. Turns out they don't age well. So, you know, water slides, how they work is you submerge them in water for a few seconds to maybe a minute, and then the picture will slide off the backing, and then there's some glue on the back and it'll stick. Well, these stickers, as soon as they touch the water, they would curl up quite horribly, actually, and the image would just crack and disintegrate into, you know, dozens of pieces. It was unsalvageable. No reasonable way to fix it. But what I did was, just because I was so nervous working with these, because, you know, the Eastern Airlines stuff being so hard to come by, I had scanned these into my computer, and then what I did was I went to Amazon, and I had bought a sheet of water slide decal paper like this. It was about $16, got you 10 sheets. I didn't do a whole lot of shopping around, but I mean, it seemed pretty reasonable, you know, and it was exactly what I needed anyway, so I went for it. And then I printed them out. I got the size, or the scale of them just right. That was cool, because like you can just print it out on your computer printer, no special ink, no tricks or cheats or anything to get it to work. Just after you print it out, it's a little bit like a glossy photo paper. The instructions that came with the paper said to spray it with a clear coat or some kind of fixative, so I bought a can of Krylon glossy clear coat, and I sprayed that, and that's just pretty much to protect the ink from the water, you know, when you submerge it to activate the glue and whatnot. So those are the decals I used. So you can see the main stripe and the logo is really long, so I had to cut it up into smaller pieces. So like you can see, there's a couple spots where it's not perfect, kind of between the windows, but you don't really notice it unless you're looking really close. So I know it's not perfect, but I'm okay with it for what it is. I think the tail came out really nice. Too, and I like how I can see in the camera, you can see it gets that nice kind of metallic shine. It does look like the bare aluminum of some of the older planes. I think the decals, they went on really nicely. They were pretty, I mean, the new decals, of course, like I said, the original's disintegrated, but the new decals, they went on really easily. The plastic, or I guess the image part of it, was soft enough where you can see it formed to the plastic quite nicely. I didn't use any decal softener or extra fixatives, just the plain stickers as they came, you know. And I think it came out looking really nice. The only difference is between the original decals and the ones I ended up using is where the originals are on a white back. You can't really tell, but like the backing is kind of white, so the colors are solid. Where on the ones I used, it was a little more transparent. So when you put it on top of the silver, it gives it a very slight metallic sheen to it. It's not, I don't think it ruins the look. I mean, it's not like probably 100%, you know, to the original look. I'm sure the original Eastern Airlines didn't really use metallic paints in the 40s, 50s, and so on. But I think it actually adds. It was unintended, but it added a pretty nice effect in my opinion. So I'm okay with that. Okay, so here you see the detail, the main logo on the tail there. Here's the original decal, at least one of them that I didn't use. So you know, and then so seeing side by side, they're pretty close. The decal I ended up using on the plane, you know, it looks a little bit darker because, like I mentioned, it's a somewhat transparent decal on the silver of the tail, so that gives it a slightly metallic, little bit darker look. And here I saved one of the original decals that I tried to use, and you can see almost the instant it hit the water, it curled up and cracked something awful. And at first I thought, well, maybe I can still make this work, just treat it like a puzzle, but each piece that cracked, if you just, when you went to touch it with a wet Q-tip or your finger to try to slide it off the backing, it just disintegrated into even tinier fragments to where it was essentially just shreds of paper, and no way I could have salvaged this. I went looking online, and a few people mentioned a trick where spray the decals with a clear coat to kind of give some extra strength to the part of the backing with the image on it. I put about 3 coats of a Tester's clear coat, gloss clear coat I should say, and it didn't really help. It helped a little bit, but the stickers, or the decals, still crumbled and fell apart, and it was just bad time for everybody. So it was really worth it to just print out new decals, because I mean, I think they turned out looking good. So it was about $15–16 for 10 sheets of the water slide decal paper. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm worth it, it's worth it. So I mean, it got this model done looking really nice, and I've got plenty of spare paper for future models. Now the wheels, you can't really tell the difference where the fuselage is the metallizing aluminum plate lacquer. The wheels, there's a stainless steel. Not as big a difference as I was hoping there. I mean, they look nearly identical. The steel's a little bit darker than the aluminum, but not really to a noticeable amount. The tires themselves, I just did flat black paint and a flat gray for the hubs there, hubs and spokes. Let's see, I've seen a couple different versions of the propellers. Some were the black props with yellow tips, or just all black, or and some were like the silver, or the, like, you know, the chrome finish props. I decided to go with the chrome look, and I just did those in the aluminum plate color also. Some close-ups of the decals there for you to see. And yeah, you can see some alignment issues that were my fault from messing up the decals just a little bit, but it's not awful. Far from perfect, I know, but let's see. I think I got the decals on this side a little bit nicer. So, all in all, this is my attempt at the Monogram Eastern Airlines DC-3. I'm pretty pleased with the final outcome. Feel free to let me know what you think in comments or messages or whatever you got. Just wanted to share this. Not too many people seem to have it, so I just thought I'd show what the finished product looks like. Thanks.